Oh, really? Oh, just sprayed me with milk in the face. Thanks, buddy. Good job. Thank you. Yes, it's all gone. It's all gone. Lord have mercy. Secondhand goat milk. Lovely. Neil. Neil. Have your bottle. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh, you're spilling, dude. Hi guys, welcome to TCR. Sid here. I went over to a friend's for a little bit, so Neil is down to his last few bottles, but we're running a little behind today since Frankie's at a friend's house. And I'm going to show you guys how I make my coconut rice, coconut lime rice to be specific. And I'm also going to be making some wings. Since Frankie's at a friend's house, we are having a little bit of a in-house date night. So, yeah, let's do it. Let's make some rice. All right, guys, we're back inside. So, my coconut lime rice. I've been having this rice soak, and I've changed the water a couple of times over the last 24 hours. You don't have to do it that way. I like to do it that way. You know, I worked in pharmacy for years, and I had a lot of Asian friends in pharmacy, and they told me all the little ins and outs about making the best rice. And one of the things was when you have the time to let it soak and rinse it and drain it and rinse it and drain it. So until it's almost clear. It's still kind of milky because I only did it a few times, and it's been really, really hot today, which also kind of affects it. But one of the key things is to toast the rice after you drain it and are actually ready to cook it. If you only have an hour or two to do it, at least rinse the rice thoroughly. I do recommend that. You know, but just regular long grain rice. You can use any kind of rice for this, to be honest. Long grain, obviously, or wild is going to take a lot longer, but if you prefer arborio or something like that, that's totally fine. But I'm going to be making this with regular long grain. You can make it with jasmine, that works really well too. But this is what I have on hand today, so this is what I'm going to be using. I'm going to be putting a little bit of coconut oil in here just to kind of get the pan, just to cover the bottom of the pan, maybe about a teaspoon worth. And then I'm going to toast these up. So while that's heating up, I've also got some cilantro and some lime zest that I'm going to be using to mix in right at the very end of the rice. So I go ahead and kind of prepare that while I'm getting everything else done. I will use some of the lime juice as well. But for now, obviously just going to sit to the side. I like to finish it off, squeeze it off with a little bit of the lime juice. So when I'm making rice, old school way on the stove, I do like to always toast it first, whether I'm making risotto, whether I'm making just traditional rice, or if I'm doing it this style, which is coconut style. It's a little bit creamier, a little bit fluffier. And you can, you know, add your own variances to it, but I do like to make sure I rinse it first, and then I do like to toast it first for just a couple minutes. You're not really looking for any color change in the rice. Just kind of tossing it around for maybe 3 minutes or so, just to kind of take the edge off of it, if you will. Just kind of relax it into the situation. Just brings out a little bit of the flavor. And I like to use coconut oil for that, especially if I'm making coconut rice, because duh, right? I've got about 3 cups of rice here that I've been soaking. I'm going to be adding, once I toast it, you're going to want to have 3 cups of water. And then I go ahead and use 1 can of coconut milk. Make sure you shake it. If it's winter and it's cold in your house, you're gonna have to take it out, like spoon it out. A lot of times they thicken just like your coconut oil will. You'll have the same issue a lot of times with your milk. So you're gonna have to kind of spoon it out and maybe heat it up a little bit separately before you stir it in. But right now it's about, I don't know, a gazillion degrees. So it's completely liquefied, so I'm good right now. So I'm going to go ahead and add this. I can see it's starting to smoke just a bit because the temp's up. So I'm going to go ahead and add this. Just stir it around a little bit, get the oil mixed around. Now I'm just gonna let it sit for about 3 minutes, occasionally stirring it. Okay, so this rice is toasting up really nicely. You can kind of see a little bit of a color change because it kind of gets saturated with the oil that you put in there. And you can kind of start to smell it. It has a really nice aroma when it's in the coconut oil. So I'm going to go ahead and add the liquid. I'm going to add, because I did 3 cups of rice, I'm going to do 3 cups of water plus the can of coconut milk, which is about a cup. It's a little bit over. Oh, it's right here. So I'm going to add, this is the 3 cups of water. I'm going to go ahead and add this. I've shaken up my coconut milk, and I'm going to go ahead and add this. Any other seasonings that you want to add, you know, some people like to add salt, garlic, you know, whatever. I'm doing a very simple, basic recipe. With the coconut milk, I am going to add a little bit of salt, not a lot. You saw I just added a couple little sprinkles of it. I'm going to go ahead and mix this in. And you should see, and just, you can do the same recipe in your rice cooker as well. But basically what you're going to want to look for is that the rice is covered. So you can see in the pot right here, so the rice is covered, but just barely. That's a trick that I learned from a bunch of gals that I used to work with. We made rice every day at work. That was like a staple. This was years and years ago when, you know, before I knew that white rice wasn't that great for you. Now it's like a special occasion, we're having white rice. Even if you're only doing regular rice, you want equal to equal plus a little bit. That was the trick I learned. We used the finger test. It was this many fingers of rice to this many fingers of water. It was always like, so what it works out to be is, it's kind of like how Italian grandmas measure things, you know, the nonas, they measure things right, and it's a pinch of salt, it's this much garlic, it's, you know, whatever. So that's how I cook as a result. But you just want it kind of basically covered. And same thing, even if you're making regular rice, you would do the same thing. Toast the rice, add 3 cups of rice, 3 cups, or, you know, 2 cups of rice, 2 cups of water, plus a little bit to cover it. That's always the rule of thumb. And add a little bit because it makes it a little bit fluffier. Again, you can do it in the rice cooker. I like doing it old school stovetop style. That's how my dad used to make it. And when I was in my 20s, before I really learned how to cook or had a really good grasp on it, I always just didn't eat rice because I was like, I could never get it right. I could never make it the way my dad made it. My dad was a really good cook. Great barbecuer, great cook. He was always coming up with crazy stuff. This is always a cool thing. You can always do it, whether or not you have a rice cooker. As long as you have a fire, a heat, a flame, you can make rice. It's one of those things like beans that you can always make, and you can sustain yourself if you're in a bad situation. So right now I can see it's starting to just bubble just a little bit. So all you want to do is, I got to Gavin, so I was distracted, but you want to just make sure it's all stirred in. Okay, you're going to cover it until it starts, once it starts to simmer, which I just saw it starting to simmer, but then I stirred it again because I'm naughty. And once I do that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it down to low so that it's just a little bit simmering. And I'm going to set the timer for 10 minutes. So my timer just went off. It's been 10 minutes where it's been simmering. I can tell that it's absorbed the liquid. Now I'm going to turn it off, and I'm going to set the timer for 10 more minutes and let it finish doing its thing. Okay guys, I'm just going to go ahead and show you what else I'm making. I'm also making some tandoori lentils. So I've got some onions and some garlic from Mike's garden that I just kind of let sit on a hot pot for a little bit here in a little hot pan. A little hot, which is not even on the screen. There you go. Anyway, it's right here. And I'm going to go ahead and add the sauce, which I just am using it's hot. I put my hair up. It's like I'm crazy getting the stove and the oven going at the same time in like triple digits when we don't have air conditioning in the house. So I'm also going to add some, well, I guess technically it's not tandoori then. It's tikka masala lentils. Sorry, because I'm using a nice little sauce that I got at the store. But I also am going to add some of this garam masala seasoning because it's really amazing and I love it. So I'm going to add some of that. I'm going to add my lentils. I ended up making more lentils than I thought I was making. So you know how that goes when you're cooking and you're like, oh, I'm gonna make this much, and then you're like, oh, no, I'm not. So adding a little bit of coconut milk to the rest of this so I can mix it in. This is like the closest to fast food that I like to get. I'm like, I'm using a sauce out of a jar. Go ahead and stir this in so it's completely covered and mixed together. You do want the lentils completely covered. Even if you're just cooking lentils in like water, like old school regular style with nothing and just making lentils, you do want to let them simmer for like 15 minutes. So the rice is done, by the way, and it looks beautiful. It's perfect. It's exactly what you want your rice to look like. And you can take a fork and fluff it up, which I like to do pretty much right away. Let me go ahead and set this timer before I forget. So that the bottom doesn't get too brown. So, but it's perfect. Absolutely perfect. It's absolutely perfect, guys. Look at that. It's perfect. Frankie couldn't get enough of this. I made this for 4th of July. So I'm going to go ahead and put some lime juice. This is a really great thing to bring to a potluck. It impresses people, but it's really super simple. I've got my lime zest and some cilantro. You can do this if you're plating it, like if you're having a dinner party. You can do it on each individual plate. That's my wings. Gotta check my wings. And then just kind of sprinkle that lime over the top. But look at that. I mean, that's gorgeous. I'm actually going to let this sit because I don't want it to overcook. If you leave the lid on and forget about it, as I throw it everywhere, it'll overcook. So you do want to just kind of use a fork to fluff it so you don't squish the grains. But that is perfect, 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 perfect. All right, and this is simmering on low. So thanks for watching, guys. Got the lentils just finishing off there. Got my rice done and resting a little bit because you know how rice gets super, super, super hot. So give it a try. This rice is amazing. I'm telling you, it's super easy. I was always intimidated to make rice without a rice cooker, but honestly, it turns out better. It turns out amazing. I still haven't made my risotto for you guys. I'm gonna have to do that, but same basic principle about toasting the rice first. That's super important. Of course, your white wine, very important in your risotto. But there we go. This amazing coconut lime rice. Give it a try. Drop me a comment. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and click the bell so you get click the bell so you get those notifications. You're so cute, Neil. Don't eat the camera. Don't. Caroline, that's not okay. What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing?